Anyway, in the meantime, if you want, I can give a bit of a background. So, as I was saying, this game, Europa Universalis, the Price of Power. It's a game based heavily in the Europa Universalis 4, the video game. So you will see, if you've played even if just a bit, you will see that a lot of the inspiration comes from that video game. Things like the focus on historical events or historical leaders and advisors. Europa Universalis, the Price of Power, is a 4x historical game that can be played between 1 to 6 players. So today we have set up, for instance, the Western scenario version for 4 players. In this game, every player takes the reins of one of the most important realms in Europe. That are trying to become the most prestigious realm at the end of the game. So basically, throughout the game, we will all be scoring prestige points, and then at the end of the game, the player with the most prestige will be the one declared the winner. The game itself is played in rounds, and in each round, each one of the players will be taking turns one at a time until several of the players pass, when the round will just come to an end. The game itself consists of 4 different ages, which in itself have 4 different rounds. And each one of the ages more or less comprises around 100 years of history. So age 1 depicts the end of the 100 Years' War and begins with the Age of Discoveries and Exploration. The second age is focusing in the rise of Protestantism around Europe. The third age is about the wars of religion, the 30 Years' War, the wars of Hispanic succession, and all of these conflicts that happened around the 18th century. And age 4 starts after the War of Spanish Succession into the Napoleonic Wars. So the game will come with a scenario book that will have the different scenarios that you can set up for the game. Some of them will encompass the whole 4 ages, so doing a grand campaign that is to be played during 1 or 2 days. But there will be also some more focused scenarios that only last a couple of ages or even 1 age that can be played just in a few hours or in an evening. Also, depending on the scenario, some of them will be ready to play for just 3 or 4 players, and then you will have some others that will encompass the entire map and be for 6 players. So having a bit of a look, first of all, I guess, at the map to check just the basic concept. So as you can see in the map, the main board itself is a representation of most of Europe. We have also the north of Africa, Middle East, and then all around it, we can see some other smaller maps that are what we call in the game the distant continents. So you will have the Americas, Africa, India, and Arabia, the Far East, and over here, even if it's a shadow, it's where you have Central Asia and Siberia. The map itself is divided between sea zones and land zones. So in the sea zones is where you will have your ships that will be moving around the map and transporting units, performing trade, and so on. While on the land, you will have your armies that will be moving and doing warfare. If looking at the land areas, you will see that there are some white lines that are dividing the different areas. In caps lock, you will have the actual naming for the areas themselves. And sometimes the white lines, as you can see, for example, in the Pyrenees, or you can see in the Alps, they have these triangles that basically are depicting that these are mountainous mountain borders, which can affect, for instance, when you are moving into hostile territory. So it will be a bit harder to cross this type of crossings if you are at wars. Each one of the areas is itself composed by several provinces. So if, for instance, if we have a look at Aragon, we will see that in Aragon we have the provinces of Zaragoza, Barcelona, Valencia, Baleares, and Navarra. Also, some of the provinces, as you can see with Valencia, come underlined. The fact that they are underlined, that means that it's the capital of that particular realm. Each one of the provinces, as you can see, has a flag depicting to which realm they belong at the beginning of the game. For players, it's much simpler to actually know which provinces belong to a player, because you will be putting your own province tokens on top of the provinces that you will be holding. Some of the provinces, as you can see, like Valencia or Barcelona, have an anchor right next to it, which means that they are coastal. So in those provinces, you can create also ships, or you can put your ships to have them protected if need be. Other than that, in each area, you will see that there is particular information about what is the religion held by the majority of the population there. So, for instance, in Aragon, we see that it says that the majority of the population is Catholic. This is quite important later on in the game, because your aim will be to make sure that the religion that you have as your state religion will be also followed by the areas in which you have your provinces, because if not, that can lead into some unrest. The other thing that we can look at is that there are some circles both in the sea and inland to depict trade nodes. In these particular circles is where you will be sending your merchants in order to benefit from trade. The ones that are at the sea normally will require you to have a line of ships that connects that trade node with your capital. And in order to trade in the ones that are inland, you will need to either have a province right next to them. So for instance, like France having Paris next to Champagne, or have a line of influence tracking back into your capital. The other thing to have a look would be in the, let me check. So in the distant territories, as you can see, you have some letters. So for example, when looking at America, in the rightmost, you will have some letters next to the sea zones. And this basically allows you to easily know into which sea zones they are connecting. So for instance, from the northeastern Atlantic that has a letter A, you would be able to then connect into the northwestern Atlantic, and so on and so forth. The distant continents themselves also connect with such letters. So for you to know about that. That's more or less the information that you should be aware of on the map. So let's have a look, for instance, here in France at what to read on a player board. So let me know if you're all of you here. I'm drawing a line so that you can come back to the player board of France. Okay. So here in the player board, we have on the top right part, we have the spaces that normally are covered by our provinces. Whenever you are putting more provinces into the map, you will take the leftmost available one and drop it in the map. And you are only paying attention to the rightmost empty space in your player board. That will dictate the amount of taxation that you will be receiving from that province. So for instance, for France, he will be receiving 8 ducats from his small provinces and 8 ducats from his large provinces. But also it will give you some information about the amount of manpower that France has ready to redeploy in his armies. In his case is 8. If you check here on the left, we have the army mat. So from those 8 manpower, France has currently 4 of them in the available manpower ready to be redeployed into his armies. He has 3 of them in Army 1 and 1 of them in Army 2. Do have here space to put different types of units. So you have infantry, cavalry, and artillery. Basically, artillery is really good for sieging, and cavalry and artillery will give you better chances of hitting. But the main body on the army will always be the infantry. You have 3 different armies that you can raise at some point in the game. At the beginning, Army 3 is locked. There is a particular idea that allows you to unlock it. But while they are on the map, if you check, for example, Army 1 is all around here, is all the way here in Paris. So this miniature will be representing that army in the map whenever it's moving. The infantry can be deployed directly if you want in the map, as well as the light ships, so the ships that are like these ones made for trading. But all of the other units that we have here below, so cavalry, artillery, heavy ships, and galley, they can only be deployed into the actual army or fleet mat, and they will be always included in a particular miniature that represents that army or that fleet. The next thing to check will be the ruler. So France, for instance, has here Charles VII as the ruler of France. There are 3 different things that we have to pay attention to when looking at the rulers. The first one are the monarch points that each one of the rulers has. So for instance, you have the administrative power, the diplomatic power, and the military power. So Charles has 3 administrative power, 1 diplomatic, and 3 military. That is the amount of Monarch points of each type that you will be generating with him at the end of each round. Together with those numbers, you will be adding the values of any of the other advisors that you have hired into your tableau. So you have here, for example, a diplomatic advisor, a military advisor, and then you would have an administrative advisor. So in this case, for instance, Charles VII and his cabinet would be able to generate 3 administrative, 3 diplomatic, and 4 military points. The monarch power, together with the ducats, that is the amount that you get from the taxation, are the 2 different currencies that you will be using to perform most of your actions. So we will be seeing the actions later on as we play. I will not go into much detail about that right now. The last 2 things to have a look at is the stability. Just like in the video game, when things go wrong, your stability will drop. When things go well, your stability will increase, and you will have also some actions in order to help it increase the stability. If your stability is high, you will receive additional taxation. You will be able to take care of the unrest in your realm, and you will receive additional monarch powers. While if the stability goes bad, then it will be just the opposite. You will lose taxation, you will lose monarch powers, and you might even have some provinces rebel. And the last thing is the state religion. At the beginning of the game, for this setup, all of the 4 nations that we're playing as followed the Catholic religion. But as I said, the next age, the second age, would be the rise of Protestantism, that would see new religions sweep around Europe, and sometimes you will have to actually change your state religion, or you will be forced to change it because of the situation happening in the game. Normally, you would put here your ducats in the treasury just for making things a bit easier. I have here some counter that basically tells you how much money you have. Okay. Other than that, we can just talk briefly about the objectives in the game. So in the game, normally you would have some missions that you would follow for your nation that are like objectives to reach. I didn't include them down just so that you have less things to focus about. The other thing that gives you also prestige and that are also objectives are the milestones. The milestones are public objectives that each realm can achieve. And to do so, you get more points if you are the first one to do it. So the first player to achieve any of the 4 milestones would receive 5 prestige points. The second would receive 3. The third person would receive 1, and everybody after that would not receive any points. And no matter when you complete them, you would receive always the monarch points or the ducats, like in the warfare, that are described there. So this is one of the ways to increase your prestige, basically, together with the missions or researching ideas. That is this that we have here on the right. Just like in the game, throughout the different rounds, you will be able to research different ideas that will either grant you new actions to perform, or will improve existing actions that you can already do, or unlock new abilities, like, for example, being able to have cannons in your armies, or you would require the quest for the new world in order to explore the distant continents and be able to get colonies for yourself. Before starting to play, I just want to go really quickly over the sequence of play. So how a round looks like. Normally, the first thing that you do in a round is called the draw cards phase, in which each player is drawing a certain amount of cards and paying for them. For the purpose of this demo, I've given each one of you a hand of cards so that we can skip that ahead. Normally, you would be paying for the hands for the cards that you are keeping and discarding the rest. And also, you would be getting your missions in your hand that you would be achieving for the game. The second phase is the main phase of the game, where we will be doing actions. That is the action phase. As I said, each one of the players takes a turn at a time. So we will start with friends, because he's the first player for this scenario, and then we will go in clockwise, taking 1 turn each one of us until everybody is passing. The third phase is the peace and rebels phase, where any wars that are ongoing between players or between players and non-player realms, so everything that is not used by a particular player, we will be then resolving them, making peace. There can be some concessions between players and things like this, but also will be the phase in which invasions can happen, rebellions can happen, and you will have to try to take care of your kingdom so that doesn't happen. Finally, at the very end, we will do an income and upkeep phase where we will be checking how much money we're generating, deducting from it any expenses from the advisors we have in the cabinet or the units that we have in our army, and then we will just go again on a second round and start all over again. Do you have any questions at this point? As I said, the actions for the game, I will be explaining them as we play, so no worries about that. But just as the generic overview of the game, is everything more or less clear, or do you have anything that you would like to ask on top of what I've said so far? I take it that everything is fine.
Yeah, it's a great explanation so far. Yeah.
All right, thanks for that. Okay,
Yeah,
so
pretty good.
all right, as I said, I will be giving you a bit of an explanation of the actions as we play, and I will try to get information from you about what you want to do, and then explain you what can you do. Okay, so the only thing that we have left to do is to reveal the 3 events for the age. Every round will be dealing a number of events equal to the number of players plus 1. So in this case, we have 5 events because we are 4 players, and 3 of them will be available for us to play with them from the beginning. As soon as one of them gets played, the remaining 2 will receive some additional ducats just to make them a bit more appealing for the other players, and we will reveal the next event in the round. Before we are able to pass, we all must play at least one event, and then only then we can also advance, pass to the next round. So, friends, since you are first, I'm going to give you just a bit of an overview about what's going on in Europe, perhaps, and then I will ask you what you want to do, and I will tell you what possible actions we have, okay? So,
Okay.
France and England come into the first round in a moment of a small truce in between the two of them in the whole 100 years conflict. The Burgundians have decided to not support the English anymore, and right now the English are quite happy to leave the hostilities as they are and already not giving up a bit, let's say, on the idea of taking over the throne of France. But France, as you can see here, has some claims over the last remaining English territories. These claims will give you a casus belli and an option to attack England in order to recover those last territories in mainland France. As France, you have the option to pursue that option, or to try to also get yourself into Italy, try to get alliances with the North Italian factions, or try to push into, for instance, I don't know, Germany and the Holy Roman Empire. As England, you will have to try to be careful holding the last territories that you have in France, but also you have the option to either dominate the British Isles, so try to get over Ireland and Scotland, or just take the quest for the New World and go into the Americas and try to be the first one colonizing that part. With Castile, we see that Castile is right at the end of the Reconquista. Only the Kingdom of Granada is left from all the Muslim kingdoms that were inhabiting in Spain. You start already with a claim in order to take those last territories for yourself. And there will be some events related with the dynastic dispute of Castile in this time that will either bring you together with Aragon in a union to form Spain, or will see you go individually on your own. Finally, Austria is also having some events regarding the disputes with Hungary, the fact that the two kingdoms were a bit together before, and now they have become independent from each other. So you will have opportunities to try to get back your influence over Hungary. And on top of that, you will have the task to keep the empire Catholic once the Protestantism starts spreading throughout the empire itself. So with that said, friends, do you have any idea? What do you want to do? You want to do a bit more?
I want Naples.
All right. So the first thing, yeah, you can take directly straight away. You can take, for example, an event. So as I say, taking an event is an action that will take your turn, and you have to do once once at least in your round before passing. How we perform an event action. Basically, we read the text in the event from top to down. If it offers a multiple choice, like in this case offers A and B, normally the A choice is more following the historical route, while the B choice is more of alternate reality case. Also, normally the A choice is a bit more beneficial to that nation, while the B choice can be a bit more punishing. Some events, as you can see here, the claim to the throne of Naples is a French event, which basically tells you who will affect this event mostly, and also that nation will be able to get that monarch if this event is played. So if you want, go ahead, select one of the two options, and we will resolve it.
Yep, taking the first one.
All right, and you have option A and option B. Which one would you like to?
Option A, the first one.
Okay, so you have an option between either gaining one military power. Military power is what you use mostly to declare wars or raise armies and so on, or you can gain an alliance with either Milan or Venice. So then we can check here in the map. Venice is here dominating over the Adriatic Sea, while Milan is quite well located in Lombardy, occupying most of the area there. And making alliances will help you later when at war, for instance, because they will be granting you their armies so that you can use them at war. And also allying another realm is one step towards vassalizing them. So eventually you could, for example, ally with one of them and turn them into your vassal.
I want Milan.
All right, so Milan then. So okay, so then we get one of your alliances here that you have in the bag, and we will just drop it straight into the capital of Milan. So we'll make space. There you go. Over there. Remember, the capital is the one with the underline word. So Milan. Okay, and then we have that you will gain one prestige point, so you will be the first one to get into the scoreboard. And you will get a claim in Naples. So we'll put a claim here. A claim is basically something that you will need in order to have a casus belli and declare war without any consequences. And that's all. So then the last thing, when we play an event, because it's your event, you will get this person as your new monarch. So Louis XI ascends the French throne. And we will be putting 2 ducats on the other 2 events, which maybe will make the other players also want to take those events for themselves. And we reveal the next event.
It does say that I gain a shield in Naples and loses all cubes in the Aragonese areas. Are those there?
The shield, it's a claim which I've already placed for you, and then the cubes is just these cubes that you have here. Basically represent influence. The influence is what you will need in order to make alliances, or in order to get your allies to send you troops. You will have to spend also those influence. Currently, you don't have any influence in Aragon, so you actually don't lose anything from that.
Okay, got it.
All right, so Spain, you're next. Any ideas on what you want to do?
I'll form Spain.
All right. So currently you have actually 2 things to do in order to get to there. You have to either conquer Granada, so prepare for a war and raise your armies and so on, or you actually got your event as well available here to be played, which would see you form sort of a union with Aragon, getting an alliance with them and a marriage. So
should the currency be placed on these since they passed on one of them?
What again?
You had mentioned that as the events are taken, currency is added to them.
Yeah, so we added one more.
Oh, okay.
There are always, unless we are running out of them, but there should be always 3 of them shown at any time for you to take one.
I just want to say to Spain that I don't know if you're clear about it, but if you don't pick your event, someone else might, and then they get to choose whether A or B is the one that's going to fire. So, your enemy might choose the worst option for you if you don't pick your own event.
Yeah, precisely. So everybody can pick any event, as I was explaining, and then normally the A the A option is quite good for you, while the B option might either be bad for you or not as good. So if you have in mind that you want to go to try to form Spain, perhaps taking your event would be a really good step forward to see those plans happening.
I would like to take the Iberian wedding option A.
All right. So then we follow the event. It says add 2 unrest and 3 rebels in Leon. So this basically is the Castilian nobility not accepting the union.
Okay.
So we'll just add 3 guys there, which you will have to just try to take care of them and before anything happens. Then you get 1 prestige, so you will follow friends on the scoreboard, and you get marriage and an alliance and 4 influence. So I will be helping you with the tokens. So we put an alliance, we put a marriage with Aragon, and you put 4 influence. So the 4 influence, you can choose where to put them. These 4 influence can be placed in any of the areas that are containing any provinces from Aragon. So those are Aragon, Sicily, and Corsica. So you can place as many as you wish in any of those 3 areas from those 4.
Okay, so how does influence matter in determining control? Is it the power of the most influence? Do I need a margin? How many do I need, basically?
So in order to ally any particular realm, you need to have at least 2 influence on any of the areas of that realm. That's the first thing. So having, for example, additional influence in Corsica and Sardinia would allow you to then make an alliance with Genoa, which is also present in that area. And the same, if in Aragon you have at least 2 influence, you would be able to also make an alliance with Navarra, which is also in that area. Other than that, there is a particular action card that I know England has that will allow you to subjugate your allies and turn them into your vassals. So in your player board, as you saw, you had regular provinces, large provinces, and vassal tokens. With enough influence, you would be able to then place your vassal tokens onto your allies, and that's like 1 step into integrating them and making them part of your realm. This would you would be looking at with Aragon.
Okay.
The amount of influence needed has to equal the value of the tax income of that realm. Basically, they get 1 tax income for each one of their provinces. So with Aragon, you are looking at 9 tax income. So you would want to have 9 influence in order to subjugate them. That would be the idea. However, you would need a particular action card in order to achieve that vassalization.
I see. Okay. All right, I'll start. I'll put 2 in Corsica first.
All right.
Start the alliance. I will add 1 to Aragon. And there's no value in putting 1, right? 1 has no effect, right?
As I said, it will help you later vassalize it, and also in a particular area there can only be a maximum of 5 influence tokens. So putting more influence means that another players will not be able to influence that area.
All right, I'll put the 4.
Also may extend your range. So
yes, so
place influence adjacent to.
Or your own realm. So for instance, when placing later influence, since you have 1 in Lombardy, you would be able to reach to the adjacent areas. So if you put 1 in Sicily, perhaps you would be able later to influence another areas that you could not normally. But in your case, you already have influence there, so it shouldn't matter so much. So it's more of whatever you want.
Try Corsica.
All right.
Actually, no, I can put it in Lombardy too, right? Since I already have 1 there.
This particular event say that you had to put it in Aragonese areas, so any areas that Aragon has a province in, which is only those 3.
All right. I will put it in Corsica.
Perfect. So then the last step is that you have 2 ducats in that particular event that you've selected, because the other player before you played 1 event. So go ahead and add yourself 2 ducats into your treasury, that is this counter right now, and we will put Isabel as the ruler of your country. whenever you play an event, here at the top there is a mat that is basically tracking who has played an event and who hasn't, so that we know all who's next to play one still. So for now, England and myself are the two people left to play an event. So England, your turn. What do you have in mind?
So I was looking at the events and I saw the event that pertains to Burgundy. I couldn't quite interpret all the symbols, but do I have any influence in Burgundy, or is that adjacent to Burgundy?
So whenever an event is saying about having influence in a particular realm, you have to look just at all of the areas in which that realm has its flag. So for instance, Burgundy has flags all over Flanders and Wallonia, Seine, and Burgundy itself. So because you have two influence there in Seine, that means that you do have influence in Burgundy. So option A would allow you to get a marriage with Burgundy and place 3 more influence in the areas, while option B would allow you to, by paying 2 diplomatic points, gaining also an alliance with them and an additional 2 influence on their areas. One thing that happened, that if some of you have played a bit of European Universalis 4 might know, is that there is an event happening at the relatively early game, in which the last Duke of Burgundy dies without any heirs, and there is a disputed succession of the throne of Burgundy and their lands. So basically, this event would put you a bit on the lead in that possible outcome of the throne of the lands of Burgundy falling into your kingdom, basically.
I mean, that seems useful, and also I'm concerned about securing my territories in France anyway, so yeah. I'll take the...
Okay, so again, you have 2 ducats on that event that will go into your treasury.
How do I
over here?
Oh, okay. So just
Just
that too?
Yep, and then you have to select one option, option A or option B.
So if I marry her, then potentially, or Mary of Burgundy, and potentially I'm in line for the throne. Alternately, I could gain an alliance. Now, the alliance, I mean, potentially the ability to subjugate allies. I know you were talking about that earlier. I was looking at it.
And the other option with an alliance is that you can use it, for instance, for war. So if you are expecting France to attack you, you could maybe then dissuade him by having an alliance with Burgundy, because it's at his back.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think I'm going to go with the alliance, just because I'm less interested in trying to get new territories than securing the territories I have. So
good idea. So it says that you have to pay 2 of the diplomatic powers. So those are the monarch powers that you have here on the blue spot. So you will pay 2 of them, and you will gain an alliance with Burgundy. So I will help you placing that alliance in this big cube here.
Right
there. Yep. All right. So then it says, no worries. It says we get an alliance with Burgundy. So you can go ahead and place your alliance token in the capital of Burgundy. From here, from the sack. Sorry.
Oh.
There you go. It doesn't want to. No worries. I do it for you. And then the event says that you get an additional 2 influence in Burgundian areas. So I'm leaving here the influence for you, and then you can decide in which one of the 3 areas you would like to have it, either in Burgundy itself, here, there, or you can have it in Seine or in Flanders and Wallonia. And it's the same logic that with the event for Spain. Having additional influence in Burgundy would allow you perhaps to also ally with Savoy, because it also has its capital in that region, while having it in Flanders and Wallonia could also grant you an alliance perhaps with Liège.
I'm going to go for Flanders and Wallonia, because again, I'm trying to secure the northern coast of France. So,
all right, great. Then finally, at the very bottom of the event, it says all player realms adjacent to Burgundy except you gain 1 military power. So basically, it's like the reaction of the other player. So France being adjacent to Burgundy and me as Austria being adjacent to him, we both get 1 military power. So just go ahead, grab yourself 1 power from your pool and add it to the red monarch power. All right. So then it's up to me.
What am I doing? They're grabbing those.
It's only France and Austria. because it says
so
every
you
other
don't need
player
visa.
can do. All right, so since everybody's taking an event, I will just go ahead and take one. So I will take this border friction. Basically, the border friction has like two options as well. So it says the first one is press a claim. It gives me additional military power and a claim in an area adjacent to my realm. So basically, it's allowing me to expand. However, I have to lose 3 influence adjacent to that area. So it's the response of the neighboring nations against my aggressiveness. Or I can do the second option that says, don't press the claim. I gain additional diplomatic power because I'm refusing that. And I actually gain additional influence on my neighbors, which are happy about me going the diplomatic way. So I feel somehow aggressive today. I will just go ahead. I will take the 2 ducats. I will choose option A. So I will get a claim adjacent to my realm. I'll go ahead and I will put a claim in, let's say here in Croatia and Bosnia. So what happens is that Croatia and Bosnia. So I lose 3 influence from areas adjacent to it. So I will lose 1 from Dalmatia and 2 more from Royal Hungary. And that will also give me 1 additional military power. So I'm now at 5 after gaining 1 from the Burgundian event and 1 from the border friction. So the next thing to check is that there are some generic events, like the one I've just played and the one that is left, that is Revolts, that have some symbols at the bottom. Whenever an event has symbols at the bottom, you would resolve them. The first one, it's only mattering. It only matters when you are like discovering the new world and so on. It's a lost at ship. Basically, a ship is lost in a storm or something and is destroyed. However, there are 2 symbols here that depict the mortality symbols. As the game tries to show how time is advancing, there are these mortality symbols that will affect all of your leaders, generals, and advisors that you have in your courts. Whenever one of your leaders has the exact same symbol that is depicted here, they will receive an ill health token. And when they receive a second one, they will just die and be discarded. So we will be now looking at all of our courts and checking for any particular ruler or advisor that has an X. So I don't have any.
Ivan has one.
All right, so then we will just give him one of these tokens. There you go. I will leave it here. And then, as I said, whenever this particular character would get 2 of them, that means that he just died and has to be discarded. We have here, actually, Isabella just arrived to the throne and doesn't feel so well anymore. And then we will also have to add the particular icons on the Revolts card. So whenever all of the players have played their event, there will be normally 1 more that is not resolved for its text, but we will still resolve it for the icons at the bottom. The one on the bottom left is about Revolts. If we would have, do we have, actually, yeah, we have some unrest. So Castile, you will have to roll 2 unrest dice for the 2 provinces that currently have unrest. The unrest die is over here. So click on the roller twice, and it will roll 2 different dice, and I will tell you what happened. Okay. So the first roll says that you lose 2 ducats. Let's see the next roll. The next roll says that there has been a rebellion. So when that happens, the particular province falls under the rebel control. So you have to choose now either Galicia or Badajoz. One of the 2 provinces comes under rebel control. All right. And while that city is occupied, what happens is that in your player board, we will place 1 cube to cover that particular value, so that in case that later you reach your tax phase, where you will be checking your income, you will not keep in mind that number, but the next one. So one of your objectives, I guess, for the rest of the round will be to try to take back that province back into your realm. Normally, if this type of rebellion happens in one of your provinces, this is the method that we would follow. So we would just put 1 rebel province to depict that it's now controlled by the rebels. However, if the province itself originally belonged to another player or to another non-player realm, let's say, for example, Navarra, instead of happening that, what would happen is that Navarra itself would become independent. So you would just move back your piece. I know Galicia would not become independent because if we check at the flag under Galicia, it's the Castilian flag. So we know it's your core province and it's not some other nation's core province. Okay? Finally, we resolve the plus in the revolts. So we have to also check for any particular ruler or advisor. I don't have any that has a plus. So let's see. Here, Joseph has 1. And then anybody else around here? Yes, Giovanni in the French court. So basically, every few rounds, there are events with the different mortality symbols. So that means that every few rounds, some of your advisors or perhaps some of your generals or even your ruler may die and you will need to find replacements. All right, so the first round was quite eventful. Everybody took their own event. So now we can move into normal actions. As an action, you can always do either one of the basic actions that we still didn't cover or play one of the cards that you have in your hands. You will see that the cards in your hands have a text depicting what action you can perform and also a cost on the top left of your cards. So friends, we are back with you. What do you feel like doing next?
Hey Hank, how threatened do you feel by Britain being all up in your business in shores?
In
so
Portugal?
Yeah, Portugal.
We look favorably upon that alliance, and we're wondering why you are doing it. So yeah, we're kind of questioning that.
Yeah,
Britain requests clarification of the legal meaning of "up in your business," and we'd like to contest it, whatever it is.
Considering you've said things such as, I want to take northern France, that's kind of up in my business. And it seems like you are threatening Spain as well. I'm sorry, not Spain, Castile.
All right, so friends, what exactly would you like to do? Would you like to, I don't know, trade, make new armies, try to go in a diplomatic side and build some alliances?
I would like. Well, do I have access to the number of? Yeah, okay. 2 armies, and I have cavalry. So, what is the odds of my first army meeting his first army?
Well, so right now he has 2 infantry, while you have 2 infantry and 1 cavalry. So I would say it's pretty even. Like the chances of either of you winning the battle, it is the same, likely just a bit on your side. If you really would like to go to war, I'd recommend you first of all perhaps building yourself a bit bigger army, and second of all you should be a bit worried about the fact that Burgundy is on his side. So if you declare war, you will also have to take care of Burgundy and all of its vassals. Most of the Netherlands and Flanders are under Burgundy himself. So that itself is already quite a reason for not going to war at this very moment.
Very well.
Just saying, like, in order to more or less calculate or guess how many troops Burgundy would be providing for every single one of these small provinces that you can see here under Burgundian control, that would give 1 unit to England. So England is looking at having 9 units only from this, plus another 3 units here at the bottom. So not looking well, because this is a double province, basically.
I was just trying to remember which flag is which. I was making sure I was correct.
Yeah, so the crosses.
The capital counts for 2. Is that what you're saying?
And no, basically the size of the capital. If you compare this particular province with, let's say, this one,
Gotcha.
this is a regular province, while this is a large province.
Gotcha.
So I'd say in your case, France, right now, I would explore a bit more of a diplomatical opportunity, or you still have here a claim, which is in the same territory that both England and Brittany occupy. So you can also use this claim to legally attack Brittany as well.
I think I would like to see if there's any sort of exploitation that I can provide with my Scotland alliance, maybe?
With your what, sorry?
Alliance in Scotland with Perth.
So you are currently already allied with Scotland, and as I was explaining before, that is one step away from trying to vassalize them. Would require you one card that is a subjugate card that comes in the diplomatic deck.
Ah, I see.
So that's fine. The other option, as I was explaining before, you already have several alliances. So you have an alliance already with Milan, with Provence, and with Scotland. You cannot have more than 3 alliances at the beginning unless you have researched more ideas. It seems like anyway you want to go on a bit of a military adventure. So perhaps we can start just by recruiting more units into your army. Does it sound fine for you?
Yeah, we'll start with that for now, just since I'm trying to look at my cards too and see what I have as possibilities.
Sure. So then we will, first of all, in order to recruit, we have to spend 1 military power. And then we will have to pay ducats depending on the type of units that we'll recruit. So for every infantry unit, you will pay 2 ducats. For every cavalry unit, you will pay 5 ducats. At the same time, if you wish, you can also do any ships. The light ships cost 4 and allow you to better trade. The heavy ships cost 10, so they are quite costly, but they are really powerful and tough to beat, basically. And the galleys only cost 2, but they can only go into the Mediterranean Sea. So I guess that you should be looking first at having a few more infantry, or perhaps a cavalry.
I was thinking 1 infantry and 1 cavalry.
All right, so then that would be 7 ducats. So you would have another 5 remaining for later if you want to do something else.
And then do I take from the manpower here?
Correct. So basically, after this action, you will have another 2 available ones, which you can then train later on or leave for later. But your army currently cannot have a bigger size than 8. If you would like to have more units, when recruiting, you also have access to mercenaries. So that would be the other option.
Now, is that 8-man limit for a single army or the combined military strength?
You mean when moving, or?
So is my 8 restricted to Army 1 plus Army 2 plus Army 3?
Correct.
Or,
yes.
Okay.
So currently, because of your current provinces, you can only have up to 8 manpower. As your realm grows, you will be able to then recruit more units eventually.
Okay.
All right, so Castile, you're next.
All right. Well, we need to complete the Reconquista and put down this pesky rebellion. I would like. I have a couple cards, and I'm thinking of playing the one for military reforms.
All right, let's see which cards you have. So it seems like it seems fine. Like you can just play it. It will give you better odds at battle as well. So the way it works, this particular card is what it's called a display card because it has that eye in the top right. If you put it over here, we will show it to the rest of the players. If you can drag it out. Okay, we'll just put it around here. This is a display card, basically because it has this eye in the top right. I don't know if you can see me, guys, or not. Basically, whenever you play it, you will pay the cost at the top left. So you have 1 military power and 2 ducats.
So that's the cost, right?
Yes. So we'll deduct 2 ducats and we will spend 1 military point. So from your military power pool. Yep. And then it says that you have to lose 1 stability. So your stability would go 1 step down. And it has 4 uses. So you would place some cubes on it just to represent how many uses you have left. In subsequent turns, you can then spend those cubes in order to perform any of the actions that are there explained. The first one, that is the Innovatory Tactics, you would be able to use that in battle. So whenever there would be a battle, you could spend one use and that military power and draw the additional dice. So in order to, let's say, have better odds at the fight. England, you're next. After the initial diplomatic efforts, what do we feel like doing?
Sorry, I'm considering my options.
No worries.
No.
Let me know more or less what do you feel like doing, because most of the actions I've not explained yet. So
Yeah. So my armies right now are in
Brittany and Normandy.
Brittany and Normandy. How do I? Can I recruit additional troops to those armies, or do I have to like recruit them in my home?
Yes.
My
So
home territories?
well, these lands are actually your home, so you can recruit
okay.
them there. And whenever you're recruiting, you are just checking how many provinces you have in that particular area and all of the areas adjacent to it. So currently you have provinces. So you have 3 provinces in Brittany and Normandy, an additional large province here in Aquitaine, which is adjacent, which counts as 2. And also you have all of the provinces in East Anglia, Wales and Wessex that are adjacent to you, because both areas are facing the same sea zone.
Yeah.
So actually the amount of troops that you can recruit in Brittany and Normandy is really high.
So yes, that's 2, 3. So that's 5, 8, like 9. Jeez,
Yes,
okay.
and your manpower is not that large still. Like you can only have 8 maximum manpower, similar to France.
Okay. I mean, I will recruit.
All right.
If I pay ducats.
Yes, so you would pay 1 military point in order to recruit, first of all, and then depending on what is it that you recruit, you will pay some ducats. So just like I was explaining to the guys before, you pay two ducats for the infantry, and then 5 for the cavalry. And if you want to also get some light ships in order to later transport your units or trade, you would pay 4 for each light ship that you make.
I think I'm going to. What are the big advantages of cavalry? I was looking at the smart sheet.
So
Cavalry versus infantry.
let me just check. Oh, sorry. I didn't want to grab that. I wanted to grab the die. So if we look at the die, all of the dice, the white ones, they have the same side. So they have 2 sides are infantry, like this one. One side is what it's called tercios. Basically, this corresponds to a particular idea that allows you to do double hits. Then you have one side that is cavalry, one side that is artillery, and one side that is a blank. In order to do damage, you need to match the particular icon that is shown in the die with units in that army. So whenever you roll an infantry, if you have enough infantry, you could apply a hit. Let's say that you roll, currently you have an army composed of 2 infantry. Let's say that you roll 3 dice and you show 3 infantry. As you only have 2 units that are infantry, then you could do 2 hits. So mixing it, cavalry and artillery would give you better odds at battle.
Okay.
And additionally, the artillery, it's allowing you to have an easier way of sieging provinces.
Sieging provinces. Okay.
So I guess that
My
if you're
manpower
recruiting,
limit. Sorry, go on.
no, I just wanted to make the point that if you want to recruit, perhaps at least getting 1 cavalry would be a good idea.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. It's 2 to recruit a cavalry.
5 to recruit a cavalry, 2 to recruit an infantry, and 4 to recruit a light ship.
So we'll recruit 1 cavalry. I'm sorry, I can't tell which of these.
All of them are the same meeple. Depending on where you actually drop it, it becomes a particular unit.
Okay.
So we got 1 cavalry. So we still have 10 ducats left. You can spend as many as you want. Normally, when you are spending already 1 military point to recruit, it's better to make sure that you recruit everything you need.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong way. Oh god, should be. I was at 10.
No worries. You're at 10.
So I'm going to recruit another infantryman.
All right.
And how much is it for a artillery?
Artilleries, you need to first research the idea that is the cannon's idea that is over here. Because it says allows you to recruit artillery units for your armies, and you gain immediately 1 artillery unit at no cost.
I'm gonna go all the way. I'm gonna add another cavalryman.
Great. All
Military
right.
build up. France arms race in France.
And
Whenever
people
you
wonder why
want.
people hate London.
Whenever you want, actually, you can also take loans, just like in the game. If you ever need additional money, you can always get a loan, which grants you 5 decades, but also gets you an interest token that basically will reduce your income every round until you pay it off. And in order to pay it off, you have to actually pay 6 decades instead of the 5 that you received.
Huh. What could go wrong? I mean, I'm not aware of any European monarch that ever got in trouble for borrowing money they couldn't pay back.
All right. So, do you want to recruit anything else, or we leave it at 3?
We will leave it at that. So I have a few ducats left in case.
All right.
No.
Sounds good, I have to say. So, okay, so my turn. So I will actually follow all of my neighbors' example. I will spend 1 military power in order to recruit units, and I will also raise 2 infantry and 1 cavalry, paying 9 ducats, and I will also pay another 4 for a total of 13. That is all of my treasury, in order to also recruit 1 light ship into the Adriatic Sea. Whenever you are recruiting any ships, you have the option to either recruit them directly in your port. So I have a port here in Crane because it has the anchor symbol, or you can just recruit them in any of the adjacent sea zones if there are no hostile units over there. So that's why I just put it there. And that is my turn. So back to France.
Did you recruit naval power? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Yes, so I spent 1 military power and 13 ducats. I put 1 boat out of my port, and then I took 2 infantry and 1 cavalry for a total of 13. Basically, having more ships will make me a bit more strong in trading, perhaps from the Adriatic Sea. So that's what I'm looking at.
Is there any reason why some of the ideas are green?
Yes, so normally the 3 green ideas are the starter ideas for the earlier scenarios. So they were researched just a bit after the age in which we're starting. That's why they are in green, and it's for you to easily find them in the deck. And then the other ideas normally are randomized, so you can get different ones every game. As the ages pass, there will be particular events that will have you have additional ideas in the display available for everybody to research.
Okay, well, I guess I will play revolutionary ideas, and I will use that to get the cannons once I do my
Perfect.
payments.
So first you pay 1 administrative point and then 2 military points, since the idea that you want to research is military.
Yep, I paid the
And
2
2
ducats as well.
Perfect. You have at least 0 stability, so then that's fine. So then what you do is that you just put a token. I will put just 1 token for you to represent that you have cannons. And then as you can see in the idea on the top right, it has 2 values, a 3 and a 2. Whenever a player researches an idea, this player gets 3 prestige points. And whenever somebody else other than you researches something that you have already researched, you will get a further 2 points for, let's say, borrowing that knowledge. So then we discard this card. And then the idea itself, Canon says that you may immediately recruit 1 artillery unit at no additional cost. So just grab another guy from your, there you go, from your available manpower and put it as a cannon. So Castile, you're up.
I think I would like to increase manpower. Playing well, I guess I'm trying to understand if I do the increased manpower on this card as opposed to a normal increase of troops. How does that compare?
So currently, when looking at your realm, you have a limitation to 6 manpower because of your provinces. Increasing your manpower gives you a token. I will just search for it so I can explain it better. That is this token here, that you would then put on your treasury and good at +1 to your manpower, allowing you to have a larger army later down the road. All of the recalculations of both tax income and manpower are done later at the end of the round. So it wouldn't be something that will grant you an instant benefit, but on the long run, it would allow you to field more armies that you would normally be able to do.
So it's a maximum army size.
Yes, but just like in the reality, on top of your own troops, you can also recruit mercenaries if needed. If you want to field bigger armies, it's just that they are a bit more expensive. I think the general rule is that they cost 2 ducats more than their normal counterpart. So an infantry that normally costs only 2, if you recruit them as mercenaries, would cost you 4, or a cavalry would cost you 7. And also in the upkeep, normally you pay 1 ducat for each one of the infantry or artillery or cavalry that you have in your armies recruited, but mercenaries would cost you 2 apiece.
See. All right. In that case, I think I'm just gonna hold off on that. I'm gonna just raise some troops.
All right. So again, you pay 1 military power. So from these cubes, and then you pay 2 for each one of the infantry that you recruit and 5 for cavalry. And just like I did, for instance, if you wish, you can also pay 4 to get some light ship also to help you trade.
Okay, I will buy, let's see, 5, 6. I'll
And
buy
as I
1 cavalry and 2 infantry. So that's 9.
perfect. So then you just grab the meeples and place them in the appropriate part of the board. Okay, so if that's it, then we go back to England.
What was the procedure for researching ideas?
So normally the ideas, if you have a look here, they have a cost on the top left that tells you how many monarch points of a type that you have to pay. So for instance, the military ideas will require you military points, diplomatic ideas will require you diplomatic points, and so on. So they are quite pricey. So not always you will be able to do that straight away from the beginning, unless you have something similar to what Friends was playing, that is these revolutionary ideas that gives you a bit of a discount. Alternatively, there are some other cards that will allow you to study the ideas from your opponents, also at a discounted price and without giving them any points.
Got it. Can I? So I mean that I only have 2 military points left, so it doesn't look like I can research any of the military.
Unfortunately, it seems like it's not possible. So since you've already raised some army, perhaps one of the things that you could be looking at is at using it for also some conquest. Normally, in order to do that, you would need to fabricate some claims if you don't have any. At the moment, you currently don't have any claims. To fabricate a claim, you would have to pay 2 diplomatic power.
Okay.
There is one particular action that can be taken by each player once a round, that is the change national focus. To do so, you put one of your cubes in your player board in the place where you have your shield, so it would be here, and then it allows you to change one monarch power of up to 2 different types, so that they become a monarch power of the 3rd type. In your case, for example, you could move one of your administrative power to become a diplomatic power, so that you could have 2 of them to then later fabricate a claim and still keep your military power up, so that you can actually do some fighting, siege some provinces, and so on.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not? So,
We put one cube. Yep.
1 cube goes there. Where's that cube come from?
Just from your resource.
Just from the resource. Okay, and that's just a mark that I've used that
Correctly, because it's
Okay.
a 1 in a round. Then the
Okay.
other thing that you can do with that action as well is that at the same time that you're doing this, you may discard 3 cards from your hand or 2 cards from your hand in order to redraw 1 less than the amount of cards that you discard. So if you discard 3 cards, you will be allowed to redraw 2 of the cards of your choice. So perhaps that card that you have that is quite expensive, that you don't have enough resources, or the military one, if you're not planning on using it, and maybe you want to discard, actually you want to discard perhaps these 3 cards on your rightmost and take 2 different cards just to see if you have something better.
The 3 cards on the right?
I don't think that you will be using any of those, since they require you monarch powers of the type that you are willing to keep.
Okay. So sure, I can discard those 3.
All right.
Just control.
We'll just put them here.
Okay.
And then you are allowed to draw 2 cards of the type of your choice. So
And you're saying those aren't useful just because of the cost, basically?
yeah, so this one costing 4 diplomatic powers looks to be quite off your reach. Plus
Gotcha.
this one, this is subjugate. You are planning on using the 2 diplomatic power to fabricate a claim, so you will be left without it.
Okay.
And with the military power, the same. If you wanna have that to make some battles and so on, you will not be using this. So now you
Right.
have an option to take whatever you want. One of the things to look for, if you have a look at your cabinet, you are missing quite right now an advisor with the diplomatic capability. So perhaps drawing some cards from the diplomatic for that, because none of the other cards that you discarded had such an advisor, unfortunately.
Cool. So I can draw 2 because I discarded 3.
Correct, and you can do it one at a time, and if you get whatever you needed on the first one, all right. So there you go.
There we go.
As a part of any action, you can always take a minor action to hire any leaders or advisors. To do so, you pay the cost that they have next to their right bottom corner
In ducats?
in Ducat. So currently, you would actually have to take a loan in order to be able to
Yeah.
afford them.
No. No need to draw out a loan at this time.
All right, that's fine. So I will be going ahead and I will be making an alliance. So in order to make an alliance, as I was saying before, you are required to have at least 2 influence. Currently, I have 2 influence over here in Bavaria and Swabia, which allows me to make an alliance with any of the realms in that area. To make an alliance, you have to pay an amount of diplomatic power equal to half of their tax income, rounded up. So I'm looking at making an alliance with Bavaria, that Bavaria has 3 provinces that each one has 1 tax income for a total of 3. So halved and rounded up, that tells me that I need to spend 2 diplomatic power in order to fabricate an alliance with Bavaria. Whenever you make an alliance with the make an alliance action, you also get 1 additional influence cube on their capital area. So there you go. And then that means that I've persuaded Bavaria to perhaps join me in future conflicts. So friends, we're back with you.
I think I would like to enact upon my claim in Normandy.
All right. So in order to do that, you would then declare a war, I believe, right?
I don't know, probably. Sounds that way.
Okay, so just the same way that England changed its national focus, when I'm looking at your monarch powers, I see that you currently only have 1 military power, which is the main resource, let's say the main fuel for military conflict. So perhaps you could imitate him and change 1 monarch power of each type to get yourself 3 military power total.
Yes. That sounds good.
So
I
we
take
put
1
2
from
here. Yeah, I put it there, and then you can shift 1 from each type. Perfect. The same, if you would like to, you can also discard your 3 cards or 2 of them in order to draw 2 cards or 1 of them. So you don't have to if you don't wish. If your cards are good, you can keep them around. So
I
yeah.
can just think about this while you continue on, yeah?
No worries. Yeah. So Castile, you're up. We've already recruited some armies, so I guess that we are ready to move and try to take care of those rebels, right?
Right. It's too late to. It's a rebellion, so it's too late to suppress unrest. I would have to activate army, correct?
Yes. So you still have 1 unrest here in Badajoz, which you could then suppress eventually. However, in order to be allowed to suppress an unrest, you have to make sure that there are no rebels in that area. So first of all, you will have to win the battle and crush the rebels there before you can actually then suppress the unrest in Badajoz, and you can actually siege back Galicia into your control.
Okay. You mentioned artillery. Is that required to do a siege?
No, artillery will make it so that you can siege larger provinces cheaper, or siege multiple provinces in the same cost. So
Okay.
normally the way it works is that each one of your infantry units can siege a one province, one tax province. The artillery actually can siege two of them or one large province.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess I'll activate the army then and move to
Perfect.
crush the rebellion.
So the way it works, whenever you activate your army, you pay one military power, and then you can move your armies up to 2 spaces. All right. So the first thing that we see, whenever there are 3 either rebels or enemy non-player realms in a particular area, they will draw 1 card to see if they have a general leading them. So if there would be only 2 or 1, this wouldn't happen. So they actually happen to have a leader, Alexander, that would provide 2 orange dice to their roll in addition. So we will go ahead. So you roll. The basic roll for you is 3 white dices. So you can roll 3 white dices from the roller, and I will draw 3 white dices plus the 2 cavalry. All right. You've rolled a cannon, a blank, and an infantry. Okay, so from the 3 symbols, you unfortunately only match 1 infantry to your army type. So it was a blank, which is a miss, an artillery, which you don't have, and an infantry. So that means that you actually inflict 1 casualty on the rebels.
Okay.
In my dice rolls, I had only 2 infantry, so they actually inflict 2 casualties on your guys. So you now moved 2 of the guys back into the exhausted manpower pool. The exhausted manpower pool means that they are out of service right now, but at the end of the round you would be recovering always at least 2, and if you have more than 2, half of whatever the number is in the exhausted manpower.
Okay.
Whenever you want during your round, as well as a minor action, you can spend 1 military power to take 3 more guys from the exhausted manpower into the available pool in order to recruit them. So the rebels will continue fighting because they basically never give up. So I will roll for the second round again and do the same. Let's see if this time you get a bit better rolls.
Okay, here we go. So my cavalry doesn't roll?
The thing is that you only roll 3 white dices unless you have any generals that tells you to roll any other dice. So the cavalry is improving your odds because now you have 4 out of 6 sides that would signify a hit.
Got it. Here we go.
And let's see. 1 hit, that's good. You need 1 more only. That's another hit, so you got them. You would roll still the third one, but basically you've accomplished to give them 2 hits.
All right.
They actually rolled, I believe, incredibly. They rolled 4 hits, but because they only have 2 infantry units, they are only allowed to inflict 2 hits on you. So you will be able to move 2 of your units. Now you have a bit of a dilemma. So if you keep your cavalry, that's the most expensive piece, but the cavalry can only siege half tax value. So you need 2 cavalry to actually siege. So I'm afraid the best in your case would be to leave the infantry because they will be the ones able to actually siege down that province for you back.
Got it.
Whenever the active player wins the first battle on their turn, they also get 1 military power. So add yourself 1 military power back. So if you would have triggered multiple battles in one round, in one turn, you would only receive the first military power. Okay, so England, we're back with you. We were looking at the options of fabricating some claims in order to perhaps expand. Do you have any area in mind when thinking about it?
Well, I'm sorry, I clicked the other thing. Give me a second.
Or,
Just looking at the map, it looks like I can't see the name of the town. Renee?
This is like Brittany and Normandy, the area of.
Yeah, so Renee looks like it would be a useful area to move into.
All right.
Given that it's adjacent to a place where I already have a concentration of troops.
The only issue with that is that, first of all, you will have to fabricate a claim, and it seems like France is actually about to declare war on them before you do. And if that
Never mind,
happens, he might siege them down before you have a time to do that as well.
Never mind then. What are the mechanics of fabricating a claim? How does that work?
You basically spend 2 diplomatic power. That is what we were making sure that we generated last
Yep.
round. And then you select one particular area that is adjacent to your realm, and you just place a claim on it. Once you have a claim, like for example here has France a claim,
Yep.
you are allowed to declare a war on any realm that has a province there without suffering any casualties, any effects. So if you normally declare war without a casus belli, you would lose 2 stability, and that would be not the best outcome.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So sure, I'll drop a claim in Loire province, however you call it.
Where, sorry?
Loire, Loire, Orleans.
Yes.
Third,
All right. So you
Bourbon.
fabricate a claim basically on that area. All right. Okay. So then you spend 2 of your diplomatic power. All right.
I just drop
So
them in the same dead box. Does it matter which one I drop them in?
normally here
Right there. Okay.
it will not matter today. So
Okay.
so then what I'm gonna do is that I am going to play my study technology. So I have a card that basically says I may target an adjacent opponent and immediately research an idea that they already researched, paying 3 monarch power for that particular idea. So as you may have noticed or not, I have this province here in Lorraine, Tsingtao, that is conveniently adjacent to France. So I'm basically sending my spies there to tell me all about those magnificent cannons that the French have managed to develop. So I spend 1 diplomatic power and 3 military power, and I'm actually gonna research cannons as well. Now the study technology, because it's sort of a covert action, and the French don't realize about it, don't grant the French any prestige points. So I will gain those 3 prestige points, but France doesn't gain any, and I will add 1 artillery into my army as well. So France is the next one.
I did discard all 3 of my cards. It was 1 of each. So what should I draw?
You would draw 1 card for yourself. Perhaps you want to try to take an administrative card to see if you get the last advisor to fill in your cabinet. Let's see if you're lucky. There you go. So
now, since I discard 3, I get 2, right?
yeah, so you have 1 more choice. Let's see.
Well, I did get an administrator, so I'll quickly drop that in.
So this person that you got is actually a leader because it has stats just like your king does. In order to get an advisor, it has to have a ducat value at the bottom. And that's the one that we're looking for, because then it will generate you additional monarch powers for your next round. So
wait a minute, how did you see that? Is it in my hand?
Yes, but I am as the master of the game, so I can see everything in everybody's hands.
Freaking shenanigans.
So you can, I don't know, I'd say perhaps try to get another administrative card, and let's see if we are lucky this time.
Okay, because otherwise lean towards military too, giving me something to bolster.
Sure, if you feel like that, it's also a good option. Like, there are no bad options, so no worries.
I feel extremely threatened because I'm getting picked on.
So go ahead. Let's see if you get something good. All right. So check what is this card, and anyway, it's still your turn. I think that anyway, the strategy that we were talking about before, it's actually a good one for you to perhaps try to take still the Brittany out of the equation and get it under control. In order to declare war, if that's what you would finally do, you spend 1 military power and place a war token on the capital of your current enemy. If any battles happen, then they would be resolved automatically. So yes, there you go. So currently, whenever you will declare war, the only thing that happens is that they have here a port that is adjacent to the Bay of Biscay. So actually their fleet will come out and attack you in the Bay of Biscay. But anyway, I think it's
But who's they?
I think it will be fine anyway. And then in subsequent turns, you can just come into Brittany and take it.
Okay.
All right. So whenever there is a naval fight, I will just bring the ship. Whenever there is a naval fight, you roll cannon dice, and you are trying to look for cannon. So roll 3 times the cannon dice, and I will be doing the same here. All right. They got 1 hit actually. You failed the first one. Let's see if we got luckier in the second. You got the second one. All right. So basically, yeah. So you got 2 hits, but only you can apply 1. They also got 1 hit. So basically, you destroyed each other's fleets. But now you have the path open to just come through land. So Castile, you're next.
All right. I'll need to finish off Galatia, right? Because it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because the problem is that while this is under the rebels' control, you are first of all not receiving taxation from that province, but also at the end of the round, for every province that has been captured by either your opponents or the rebels, you will be losing prestige because you will be seen as weak by the world.
Okay.
So you normally, for sieging, you spend a number of military points equal to the number of units you want to activate to siege. And as I said, every infantry can siege up to 1 province. So you actually only need 1 infantry to siege down Galicia.
So I'll spend this 1 military power to activate that.
All right. And then when you're sieging a province, normally what means is that, let's say that you attacked Granada, you would place 1 province from your mat and it would be in the unrest side. But when you are besieging any of your own provinces, it actually just comes under control.
Okay.
So you don't need to care about that for now. All right. We are back with England.
Sorry, I'm tabbing back and forth between my my Discord and Tabletop Simulator.
No worries.
So we got to cast this belly. Now I can attack, right? Since I've
Yes. The same as with France. If you spend 1 military point, you are then allowed to declare war at any of the realms that are in the area that you have a casus belli with.
I think the only, I mean, it's all France is the only one in the area, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Sure. We'll go to war with France.
All right. So you just pay 1 military point, and then you just put 1 at war token on France. So whenever you declare war on an opponent, the opponent actually gets, first of all, 1 military power, and then he will be able to call to arms his allies. So France, get yourself a military power, and then we can think about calling to arms. So you have an ally in Milan. However, here you only have 1 diplomatic power, and in order to call them to arms, you need to have 1 influence. In order to call them to arms, you need to pay either 2 influence or 2 diplomatic power, or a combination of them both. So if you want Milan to come to your help, you will have to spend the influence there. Wait, I think I'm making a mistake. No, sorry. Whenever you are being declared war upon, you don't need to spend that influence. You just, I believe, need to have the influence itself. Let me just quickly glance over it so I don't make a mistake. Yes, it's for free. So basically, you can call to arms your allies for free. So you have Milan, which would grant you 2 units. Then you have Provence over here that would grant you 1 unit, and you have Scotland on the north that could grant you 2 more units. And those units will go straight into your manpower pool, available to be recruited if you wish. So how many of those realms would you like to actually call to arms?
So, for example, if I were to call on Purse, I'll get 2, but then do my influences go away?
No, it's that's something that I made a mistake. You only lose the influence if it's an offensive war, and you need to bring them into war. So, for instance, if England wants to bring Burgundy into war, he would have to spend the influence from Burgundy in order to do so.
Okay, so what's the negative of calling them for defense?
If you call them to arms, the negative that will happen is that they are now also, first of all, involved in the war together with you, so they can also be, for instance, attacked and sieged down by other realms. Other than that, there is no negative. That's a positive thing, that you have allies and that you actually get help from them.
Yeah, I guess I'll call on all of them because I can't imagine how Perth would be attacked.
All right. So then, you, as I was saying, you will receive 2 units from Milan, 1 unit from Provence, and 2 units from Scotland. So I will give you 5 units. And basically, these units are these meeples, so that you know which ones are your allies. And the difference between raising allies and your own units is that the allies are actually for free if they are infantry, or you have to pay 3 ducats if they are cavalry. And you can recruit them at any point in subsequent rounds by performing, once again, a recruit action. So England, you have declared war. As I was mentioning briefly, you still have your alliance with Burgundy. So now, if you wish, also you can call them to arms and join them in your offensive war. You would just spend 2 influence to do so.
So I'd spend the 2 influence that I have there, basically, to do that.
Well, currently you have 4 actually. So you have 2 influence and 2 influence.
At province boundaries.
No worries. So you would spend 2 of those in order to call them to arms as well.
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. So you spend, just remove any 2, the one that you want. All right. I will just take the other one for you. No worries. All right. So now you have Burgundy also joining the war with you. So together with Burgundy, all of the vassals that Burgundy has also will join the war. However, you only get the additional manpower from Burgundy. So Burgundy, he has 7 provinces, so he will be granting you also 4 allies. And we'll put them in your available manpower. And again, they are ready to be raised by spending a military point later down the road. So there are 2 things that have to be resolved. The first one is that because now you're at war, if there are no battles that are happening, actually there are battles happening. So here you will have to fight against the Scottish fleet. So you will have to roll 1 die.
Okay.
Sorry, 3 dice for your fleet. And friends, maybe you want to do the honors for your Scottish allies and roll also 3 blue dices. You have them here. And these ones here. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
If you click it 3 times in succession, it will roll 3 dices. All right. So the Scottish fleet managed to get a hit, and the English fleet also. So basically, that means that you sank each other as well. So you will lose that lightship.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate, but all right. So then the other thing that happened now is that because Burgundy has been called to wars together with all of their vassals, there will be a fight happening here in Seine, because all of these areas also belong to Burgundy. So unfortunately, it's quite a hard battle. So we will see how it goes, but you need to basically win some early battle, some early rounds in order to defeat them. So they only have half their manpower now in defending their units because they have sent the other half to England. So we are counting here. We have for the vassals there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas, and then for Burgundy itself there are 4 provinces over here, and another 3 tax here at the bottom. So that's a total of 14. So divided by 2, that will be only 7 units. So I will take the 7 units from Burgundy. We'll place them here just next, right by.
Okay.
As I said before, whenever there are 3 or more, they actually draw a military card to see if they have a leader, which in this case they don't. France, since you are being attacked and seems to be quite a nice force, you have the option, if you wish, to have your ruler lead the army. If you do so, your leader that currently has 1 white dice could grant you that extra dice for the battle. The only problematic is that for every pair that your enemy rolls of the tertiary result, they would inflict a wound on your ruler. Alternatively, if you want, you can also use any cards that you may have that grant you additional dice bonuses for their attack.
Yeah, I was looking at using that, unless you would suggest using the ruler itself with his white dice.
It seems that your card would be a better option. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed, unless there's something else I'm aware of.
All right, so in order to play it, you have to spend 1 military power. And then it grants you the choice to add 3 dices, and those 3 dices can be of the color of your choice. So generally speaking, infantry dice will make you more often than not get a hit with your infantry. Cannon dices will do the proper with artillery, and cavalry dices will do the same with cavalry. Normally, you're always receiving 3 infantry dice, so perhaps those extra dices you want to get some from the other 2 types.
Yeah, I guess I'll just round them all up to 3 then, I guess. So 1 cavalry, 2 artillery.
Since you have 2 cavalry and only 1 artillery, I guess the best would be the other way around.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, one of my extra dice would be a cavalry, and the other 2 extras would be artillery. So that'd be 1 for each of 2 cavalry dice.
Perfect.
Are
All right.
added to the 1 cavalry.
So England, since the Burgundy is your allies, perhaps you want to roll for them. Since they didn't have any leader, they will roll simply 3 white dices.
3 white dice.
And let's see, yes, and let's see if the French can overcome this attack. All right, so the first is a hit. The French are not ready for battle today. Another hit. Right, those 2 dice are good for France. You have, I think, now you wanted 1 more cavalry and 1 more artillery die.
Yeah,
Right, you have to roll 1 more as well, England.
1 more cavalry.
No, 1 more artillery for you, France. Okay, so England managed to get 3 hits. So I will just keep track of those.
Burgundy has been very successful, apparently.
All right, and France, you've been rolling a few too many dice. So you had only 1 cannon, so it's fine. We will just say
I
because
thought it was that I'm rolling for the 2 cannon dice from the Spear Tactics and
Yeah,
the
but-
1 from the artillery.
but you roll 3 cavalry, 3 infantry, and 3 artillery, and it's like you roll 3 basic white ones that you roll like 3 blanks. Then with the cavalry, you actually got 2 hits, and with the cannon another hit. So you've actually done 3 damage, inflicted 3 hits on them. So you've inflicted 3 hits on the Burgundian, and the Burgundian inflicted 3 hits on you. So you also have to now get those hits into your units.
Okay, I guess I'm a little bit confused because
So
what
normally,
were the number of dice I should have rolled?
Normally you are rolling 3 white dices, and then by playing the card, you were saying that you would roll 2 additional cavalry dices and 1 additional artillery dice. So that would have been a total of 6. But I have here the results that you were rolling 3 infantry, 3 cavalry, and 3 artillery. So that's the error. But it doesn't matter because all the 3 dice from the cavalry and the 3 dice from artillery would have granted you a hit. So we will just count that you got those 3 hits, and that's all. So I've removed 3 of the units from the Burgundian side, and now we need to remove 3 from your army. And you can take the casualties from the types that you wish. You would just put them here in the exhausted. So We'll leave it there. All right, 1 cavalry. Perhaps take 1 more infantry. That would be my yeah. So now you have a situation here. The enemy is outnumbering you, so the battle would be able to continue. You only have 3 units left, so it's a bit risky. But you also have the bigger amount of dice that you will be rolling. So you have a decision to make. You can either keep the fight and try to beat the Burgundians on this second round and try to roll a bit better, or retreat. If you retreat, you would have to suffer 1 more casualty, and you would be allowed to move back into one of your own areas, so most likely into Lower. And then once in Lower, you could then take 1 recruit action to bring in all of your allies, for instance.
Yeah, I'll continue. I guess my confusion was I thought that each of the manpowers for the infantry or the cavalry or the artillery granted 1 die.
Okay. No, but that's okay. So second round. So as I said, you roll 3 infantry dices. If you want to roll a different one,
And then 2 cavalry,
2 cavalry. Yeah.
1 cannon.
Yep. So far you got 2 hits, so it's good. And let's see. You're now needing to roll an artillery die. Let's see. An artillery result. Sorry. So let's see if you get it. No. All right. So you just got 2 hits on the Burgundians, because unfortunately the cavalry die that you would roll another one doesn't have any artillery result. So England, on your side, you have to roll also the 3 white dice for Burgundy to see if they manage to hit or they miss. And we will remove 2 units from the Burgundian army.
3 white dice.
Yes.
First dice.
That's a miss because they always count as infantry.
Yep.
That's a miss for the same reason. And that's a miss. So actually, friends won the battle. Whenever you in a battle with a non-player realm, you inflict them casualties and they end up having a lower amount of units than you. In this case, they have 2, you have 3. They automatically retreat. They give up. So you won that battle there. Congratulations. So now that was England. So now it's back to me. So I will just keep it simple. I will declare war. Let's declare war also on Bosnia, that I was fabricating a claim before. And I will advance my army. I will pay, I will just move here. Actually, no, I will need 1 second. I will need 1 extra manpower because I forgot about the mountains. So let me just change national focus. So I have a second one for next round. So that's it. So we're back with France. It's your turn. You have, as I was saying, the option now to recruit more units. It seems like the English army can advance soon. So perhaps regrouping with your other army would be a good idea, or just recruiting your allies into your army as well could be a good idea.
Yeah, I was thinking that I would spend 1 of the military powers in order to recruit the allied manpowers.
Perfect. And you still have, don't forget, you still have 3 more ducats that you can use as well.
What can I use those dockets for?
For recruiting your last manpower that is your own also.
Gotcha.
All
Can
right,
they
so
go to both Army 1 and Army 2 in
yes,
whatever?
you can split them as you prefer. I don't know exactly what do you think would be better, if to split them or to keep them in 1 army. The thing is that when you are doing the activate army action, you only activate 1 of them. So also splitting them can be a bit harder to later actually move them as you wish.
Well, I'll just focus on Army 1, the first army.
All right, so you are spending 1 military power. I can take that for you. And finally, what is your decision? Do you want to also recruit your own last manpower, or?
I guess I might as well.
All right. So we will just throw him in as well, and I will just help you there with those last 3. There we go. All right. So let's see how this all ends up. So Spain, we're back with you.
I want to play one of my action cards. Trying to just figure out, do I have the cost to do that?
So the one on your leftmost, that is a display card similar to the one you had before, you would pay the cost at the top left, so 2 administrative power and 2 ducats, and then on subsequent turns you could then play any of the actions that is listed under it. So for instance, you could draw additional cards if you wish.
I'd like to play the Central Authority card, and I'll spend the two diplomatic powers.
Yeah, administrative ones for that one. All right, so then we get, I will just give you the uses here, and you have to pay the last 2 ducats as well. All right, back to England.
I guess I'm going to move into
The only
New
problem
Southeast.
that
Sorry,
you have
go
to
on.
think of, yeah, just wanted to clarify. The only problem that you have to think about is that you currently only have 1 more manpower, military power, sorry, available. So it will be a bit tight for you to actually do much in the war.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Remember that if you win a battle while it's your turn, you actually regain 1 military power. So perhaps your option could be to advance south to the army that is here. It's not that big, but you should be able to defeat it. The only problem, remember, you are at war with Provence, that is this particular nation here. So they will also add 1 more defense to that area because it's halved. So there would be 2 defenders there against your army.
Okay. So here's a question. Like, betraying my ignorance here, but like, if I pass for a turn, then am I able to start rebuilding military power, or how does that work?
So at the end of the round, once everybody has passed, we will move into first of all the peace and rebels phase, and then at the end of the round there is the income and upkeep phase. When we reach that income and upkeep phase, we will get both the ducats that you can generate from your realm depending on your provinces, as we were checking at the beginning, but also monarch power equal to the values of both your current leader and your advisor. So looking at your leader, that is Henry VI, he is not the best leader in the world. He only gives you 1 military power, 1 diplomatic power, and 1 admin power. So to those you will add the values from your advisors.
Gotcha. But yeah, but so if I were to stop now, essentially I'd be ceding the initiative to the other combatants.
So if you are to pass, you are out for the entire round already, and friends will still go until he decides to pass.
Yeah.
If at any point 3 players pass, is when the round will be coming to an end, because the last player will only have 1 more action to go.
I got you. Let's march south into Aquitaine then.
All right, so then you spend 1 military point to move, and as we say, there will be 1 more guy from Provence defending the area together with his French ally. So then, France, if you want to do the honors to roll from your side, you roll 3 white dices, and England, you do the same. So you roll 3 white dice. If you wish as well, you can add your monarch to the battle, just like I said before, to add additional ones. Unfortunately, you didn't roll any hits. Today you didn't came prepared with the battle.
So if I lead with my ruler, then like he could die, right? Potentially.
Yes, those are the chances that you have to wade in.
You know what? Let's do it. I feel like England needs some new blood on the throne anyway. So
okay. So roll 4 dice.
So first die.
All right. So you got a hit.
Second die.
That's a fail.
Miss. Third die.
Again a fail, unfortunately. And the last one. And that's another hit. Okay, so in that case, you've actually inflicted 2 casualties. So 1 would be to the ally, and the other has to be to the lone unit of Army 2. So I will just bring that back. Because you won that battle, you regain the military power. So Castile, you're up next.
Oh, okay. I want to play raise war taxes from my central authority, and it says I will gain 1 military power.
But no, that's gain 1 and rest. So because you're raising the war taxes, the only thing is that that particular card, if you read at the end of that action, it says if at war.
Okay, so I misread that card then. So,
but you can still do the other action, the reforms. It says that you draw 2 cards.
Let me see. Okay, yeah, I'll do that instead. So I'll play.
All right. So you use 1 administrative power and 1 of the uses that you've done. So we also pay 1 of these. And then you can draw cards of the type of your choice. So you currently only miss an advisor from the military type, but you have 1 in your hand. It's quite pricey. So I don't know if you want to draw to try to get 1 of those that is a bit cheaper, or since all of your diplomatic power are still available, perhaps you want to draw a diplomatic card that perhaps you can use with those diplomatic powers.
Okay, so I was thinking 1 military, 1 diplomatic.
Sounds great. And in the meantime, if England wants, you can already go ahead and do your... Did we skip France?
I'm sorry, say that again. I heard you say something about England.
I'm not sure if we skipped France or I am just dreaming. Yeah, you can go. You can go now. I think I skipped you. I don't know why.
I guess that thrashing counted as my turn.
Sorry again?
Nothing.
All right. So now you have quite a large army. It is quite a big army that you should be able to either go north first of all and try to take out, because you're still at war with Brittany. So try to go there and siege them down, or head to Aquitaine to avenge your army that was just defeated.
I assume I don't have the reach for that, though.
You always can move 2 spaces. So from Seine, you could go first to Loire and then to Aquitaine.
Deal.
All right, so then a new battle happens. So once again, now France, you first are the first person, because you're the attacker, to choose whether you would like your leader to lead the battle or not.
I would.
All right, England, you're the defender, so you're the second to speak. Would you like your leader to lead the battle?
Absolutely.
All right, so both of you guys, I think it's the same. You roll 4 white dice each, so let the best ruler take the field.
Man, the best king win. I don't think it's going to be Henry. Oh.
All right, first hit. Let's see the France. France gets 2 hits. Well, that's something. Let's see, England, that's a hit. So you have 2 hits so far. Infantry and cavalry. That's another hit. So 3 hits for England. And that unfortunately is not a hit. So, okay, so England, you need to remove 2 of your units as casualties. France, you have to do the same with 3 of your units. Feel free, maybe your allies want to take the hits. Yeah. And those, just leave them out, for instance, here. All right, so I don't believe...
Does it matter? Can I choose which ones I remove?
Yes. The only reason what it can matter is the particular symbols on the dice. So as I was explaining before, and these ones we put them actually in the exhausted manpower.
Okay.
All right. So I don't believe that France will like to retreat, since they are clearly having the upper hand. I don't know if England would like to retreat or fight till the last man. You also don't have any more military power, unfortunately. Did you give yourself the military power after the last victory?
I did.
Because you don't have any.
Yeah.
All right, so give yourself 1. So basically, if you wish, you could retreat back to Brittany and Normandy, but you would lose yet 1 more unit. So you would be a bit limited as well on what can you do. So a bit up to you.
I mean, I think we're going to go for it. We're going to...
All right, so roll again the 4 dice. If you wish, if you press the four times quite fast, the roller, it will roll the 4 dice all in one go.
Okay, so press 4 times fast.
I don't know why. All right, that's a fail. So friends, go ahead. Another 4 white dices. Let's see if you finally get a bit of better luck with your rolls. All right, and that's the last 2. All right, so you got 3 hits with infantry, but you only have 2 infantry, England.
Yep.
So you actually inflict 2 casualties on France. Because you've rolled a pair of the tertius result, actually you managed to wound the French general. On the French
I don't
side,
have Tertio though.
it doesn't matter. It's just the
No.
tertius result applies
Okay.
that. On French side, we have a cannon and 3 tertius. So he actually inflicts 4 hits on your units. So the last remaining soldiers are actually defeated. And he also did at least a couple of tertiary results. So he also inflicts 1 wound on your monarch that retreats, I guess, back to the palace. All right, so that is a victory for the French. So again, you get 1 more military power back because of your victory. All right,
What
and
was
now
the casualties that I had sustained from his attack?
only 2 of them, because even though he managed to get 3 successes, let's say, he only had 2 units left, I think.
So do I just get rid of my token? My
You
little
just
red
put it back into your.
Okay.
All right, so now it's back to you, England. So actually, the situation is quite dire for both of you. The thing is that at the end of the round, in the peace and rebels phase, all of the allies that you've called to war on each other will invade you if you don't manage to take any of their territory. So Scotland is looking to invade you in Northumbria. Burgundy seems to be also having the same situation either in Loire or in Seine, and Provence would do the proper also in Aquitaine. So I believe that you need to defend one of the regions since you have 1 more military power, and just try to defend from one of your enemies.
The dog eat dog world. I'm going to defend the north of Northumbria.
All right, so you have 1 military power
Retain the homeland.
to recruit,
so
and
I
you
just
can
drop in the
recruit
box?
your 4 ally units. As I was saying, they come for free as infantry.
Okay.
So you say Northumbria, right? I will put there your infantry.
Yep.
There we go. All right. If you wish,
So
you
the
still have
allies-
3
the
more
allies-
jackets.
I get to recruit them even though the allies could conceivably be invading me next turn?
Your allies are the ones from Burgundy, so they will not fight you. They will fight with you.
But you said that my allies might invade me.
No, not you. I meant that Burgundy will most likely invade France because
gotcha, yeah.
Burgundy, but you have
Gotcha.
the issue of Scotland from the
Oh,
north.
got it. Okay, yeah. Our respective allies are going to invade.
Yeah. All right. So I will now declare war, as I was saying before, in Bosnia, and I will have to spend an additional military power to cross. So the thing is, Bosnia, if you see the border between my area and Bosnia that is here a bit hidden, has mountains, which means that I can only cross with 3 units normally. In order to cross with more than 3 units, I need to spend 3 more military powers for every additional 3 units that I want to pass. So I paid another 3 because my army consists of 6 units, so I can cross in there. And now Bosnia will have 2 units to fight against me. So if anybody wants to roll 3 white dice, and I will roll also the same on my side.
3 white dice?
Yep. And I got 2 hits, which is the amount of units that they will have. So they are defeated, and I regain 1 military power. And they got tertius. So they actually defeat 2 of my infantry. Okay. So 2 of my infantry are now exhausted. So we are back with France. So France, now that you are in that location, if you spend 1 military point because you have artillery, you could be then allowed to siege down the city of Bordeaux and have it in your control.
I was kind of planning on doing that, but how many turns until the allies strike? So, like, sounds like I may need to move my army back to France.
So the thing is, once 3 of us will pass, there will be one more turn for the 4th player, and then we will go into that peace and rebels phase. So as you can see, I just declared war on Bosnia, so I am looking at sieging them still. So the least that you have is still like 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah, I'm good for sieging Bordeaux.
All right, so in order to siege, just as before, you spend 1 military power to activate one of your units. So you can activate your artillery that has a siege capability of 2 that allows you to siege Bordeaux. So then what you do is that you take one of your pieces from your player board of your large provinces and you put it directly on top of Bordeaux into the unrest side. So the second side of the token. And then England, because you have that province under siege, we put one of your tokens covering that spot in your player board so that you remember that now your income and your manpower is a bit lower. Okay?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Yeah, so whenever one of your provinces gets sieged by an opponent or rebels, you will place one cube in the proper location. So in your case, in a large province. So as a reminder that you are receiving less income and less manpower at the end of the round. So next one is Castile.
It is 3 o'clock. I do have a game at 3 o'clock, so I'm going to have to pop out at this point. But Roberto, I want to thank you for this demo. This is really, you explained everything very well. Would it be okay for me to send you some questions on the text chat later?
Of course. Feel free to send me as many questions as you want. No worries at all. And anyway, it was also a pleasure to have you here. So thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed the game.
Good. Take care, everyone. We'll enjoy the con.
No worries. Take care. All right, so we will, if you want to continue, we can continue a few more minutes. If not, we can also leave it. We will just assume that that Castile passed, okay?
I'm good to play like one full round if both you guys are, just to see how it works at the end of the phase.
Up to Andrew. I'm up also to be here for a bit more if you wish.
Yeah, we can continue the first stage.
All right, so if Castile passes, it will go back to England. So you currently only have administrative points. The administrative points normally allow you to either increase stability or convert a particular area to your religion or colonize territories far away. So none of those 3 options seems like something that you can do. You have a particular card in your hand that you could play, but it's not gonna be so much mattering for right now. So actually, you are pretty much done for this round too, unfortunately.
I can pass.
All right, so then
come to that conclusion myself.
When you pass, the first person to pass gets 5 ducats, the second person to pass gets 3, and the third person gets 2 ducats. So you can go ahead and give yourself 3 ducats. I will spend 1 military point because I have a cannon. I can siege up to 2 regular provinces. So I will siege both of the provinces there in Bosnia. So friends, you can go ahead next.
How long do I need to maintain siege on Bordeaux in order to possibly take it over?
Until the end of the round. So if you manage to keep it until the end of the round, you would be able to do it. So now you actually have 2 options. So the first one, if you stay in Bordeaux, you would be able to remove the unrest so that you don't have to roll rebel dice on the end of the round, which could be one of the ways that you could lose control of the province, just like we saw with Castile. Now, the other option that you have is that you can march your troops east to Bourgogne in order to fight with Burgundy. If you manage to keep your units in one of the areas of Burgundy at the end of the round, then they will not be invading you. However, you have to pay attention to the fact that they have, adjacent to Burgundy, they have their capital, which provides 2 units, 1 more that comes from French Comté, and another 2 from the adjacent area in Seine. So they would have 5 infantry to fight with you. You currently have an army with 4 units. One thing that you can do while you take an activate army action is that if you are starting in your home area, which you currently are, because in Aquitaine you have your own provinces, You may also, at the same time that you are activating your army and moving it, recruit up to 3 mercenary units and add them straight into your army. As I was saying before, mercenary units are a bit more expensive, but this is a bit of a critical moment for you, so perhaps it's not such a bad idea to even keep that in mind. For every mercenary infantry that you recruit, you would get you would have to pay 4 ducats, and for every cavalry unit that you recruit, you would have to pay 7 ducats.
Okay, and how much is my loan restriction?
Sorry again?
How much is my restriction on loans?
So you can only recruit 3 mercenaries. So regarding loans, you can take up to 5 loans without problems. If at any point you would be required to pay for a particular upkeep or cost during the game that makes you get a 6th loan, is when you would get into bankruptcy. So if you want to, for instance, take 3 mercenaries, that would be a total of 12 ducats, you would require to get 3 loans, to get 15 ducats from the 3 loans, so that you can pay those 12.
That was what I was thinking.
All right, so I will give you, the mercenary units have a different color, which is this orange color. So I'm putting them there, and I will give you the interest tokens into your treasury. So basically, the interest tokens, while you have them, reduce your Upkeep by 1, and then in order to repay them, you need to spend 6 ducats. So it's a bit expensive, but sometimes you really need to do it. All right. If you press number 2, it will be the one. Let me help you. Yep, like that. There we go. All right. So then you spend 1 military power in order to activate your army.
Yeah.
And we move right into Burgundy itself. Okay. So once again, as I said before, they will have 5 units there. We'll just keep track with this die, so we make sure of how many are there. I will just move away that token so you don't fall. No worry, I help you with that one. Okay, so Burgundy has 5 units. So because they have 5 units, they will draw 1 card to see if they have a leader, and they actually have a leader over there. So you have 2 options. You can either fight with your leader as well and try to beat the Burgundian, or fight without him. Your leader is left at 1 particular wound, so if he gets another wound, he would die.
I'll refrain.
So you roll the dice. England, you can roll for the Burgundians. They roll 5 white dices. All right, so you got 2 of those. Okay. Okay. So that's only 2, and 2 more dices. All right, so the Burgundian deal 3 hits, and they receive 2 hits. So they are down to 3 units, and you removed all of the. So the thing, because Burgundy is the capital, actually, area of Burgundy, they will fight till the end. So we move to the next round of combat. So once again, 5 white dices for Burgundy. I can do those if you want. And you roll 3. Let's see. You got 1 more hit, and I did get 2 hits only. Okay, so Burgundy is left to 2 units, and you have to remove 2 units as well. I'd actually suggest you to leave the cannon. Either leave the, yeah, because you may be able to still siege something. So let's see if the last roll is a bit worse for Burgundy and you get a bit better result there. Actually, no. Actually, Burgundy inflicts 2 casualties and you only inflict 1, so they actually win the battle. That was really, really unlucky. Okay. So we remove that. Both of your guys, unfortunately, are out. All right. I will pass. Then it would be back to you that you would have 1 more round. The only thing that if you want to do, because we didn't cover that action, is that perhaps you want to trade.
If you for a teaching example, we can. Otherwise, it's fine to pass.
So I will just show you. So whenever you trade, there is a trade deck here that you would draw 3 cards in order to see if you're allowed to trade or not. And then you would look at the trade notes that are listed on them to see if you are able to link any of those trade notes back to your capital. So in this particular example, for instance, none of them would happen. Let's imagine that this is Spain playing, and they had Sevilla here that they are able to trade because they have a merchant there and they have some ships connecting. So the first thing that you do is to check the key provinces. For every of those provinces that you actually control, you could receive 1 trade power, then one additional trade power for the merchant itself, and 1 more for every adjacent ship. So in case of Castile, for that card, it would be actually 7. Then you check on the matrix that you have in the card that depicts how much ducats you would get for that value. So looking at the fish, if you have 6 or more trade power, you would get 7 ducats. That's how trade basically works. If you fail because you don't get any particular card that is good for you, then you would get 2 ducats simply. So you can add yourself 2 ducats. And then the game would move to the next phase already because we've all passed. That would be, as I said, the rebels and the peace phase. So there are a few things that are done in order. The first thing that is done is from the previous rounds, if there would be some truce tokens or some other tokens that are removed at the end of the phase, would be done right now. The second thing that happens are the invasions. So for the purpose of this game, we don't have to do them unless you really want. But basically, the Scottish army would clash with the British, with the English one in Northumbria, and Burgundy would send their troops to siege Loire. Because normally the way it works is that they try to advance into adjacent areas with the most tax value, which in your case, France, that's Loire, because that's 5 tax value. And then they would take away some of your provinces from it. Once that happens, it's a moment in which you and England would be able to agree for some terms. There are some rules regarding enforcing peace on your enemies. So, for instance, if you have control of over their provinces, if you have double their units and things like this, you would be able to enforce your terms and demand that some of their provinces come under your control. In your particular position in which you are, both of you, actually, none of you is able to enforce anything on the other. England has not managed to take any of your provinces, and while you have taken one of their provinces, the current English army is bigger than you. So in this case, it would come down to diplomacy, whether you can agree on a particular peace treaty, or if none of you wants that peace treaty, you can, of course, keep the war ongoing for future rounds and keep fighting it, basically. Right. However, if you keep your wars ongoing, you will suffer even more unrest, plus the invasions from your allies. So it would be a good situation for both of you, actually, perhaps to come to an agreement and try to do peace.
There are no French units on the board, right?
No, all of the French units were defeated. That's why.
So the English would actually be able to enforce a white peace.
Mm-hmm.
So the larger armies.
Yep. So that's the situation, basically. Okay. Once we would be done with that peace and rebels phase, we would go into the income and upkeep. So you would each count how much ducats are you receiving into your treasury, and then you would check the monarch powers that your monarchs are providing to you, and we would go into the next event and into the next round. Sorry. We would have new events that would be displayed so that you can play them. You would draw new cards that you would be able to keep or discard. From the second round onwards, you always have to draft the cards, so you have to pay for every card that you're keeping in your hand. And the game would proceed like this until a player has 20 more prestige points than anybody else, or a player has placed all of their provinces and vassal tokens onto the board, or if there is a scenario that has a particular limit on time, let's say that it's only for 1 age or for 2 ages, once you've actually depleted the event deck, that would also trigger the end of the game. At the end of the game, you would add to the prestige point that you have currently in your prestige board the amount of tax value granted from your provinces and vassals, together with additional prestige points from all of your diplomatic relations, so marriages, alliances, and so on. And then we would see who is actually the winner.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Roberto. This was very, very helpful. I appreciate you talking us through. I did not even read the rules before I showed up, so I appreciate you kind of walking us through a turn. Yeah, thanks very much.
All right, my pleasure. If you like the game, if you would like to have another try at it, or have a bit longer session, I have posted also in the channel the link to the official Discord channel for Aegir Games, so you can just pop out there and check with the other guys in the Discord to try to arrange a game. There are games happening every other week, most likely, so feel free and join us. It will be our pleasure to have you around there.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
guys.
Bye, John.